Hello everyone, and welcome back to day 12 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe. Today's challenge is all about looking at files we're not supposed to be looking at and basically exploring network file sharing. Today's theory is very short. Actually, there's no theory, so I'll just skip over it and go straight to the practical part of this NFS challenge. So first off, make sure that you're connected to the VPN of TryHackMe. If you don't know how to do that, make sure to watch day 3 because I show you how to do it step by step. It's quite easy. So let's get started. So the first question is that we need to find the how many TCP ports are open on our target machine. Now, if you remember, not too long ago we did a room about Nmap, and basically this room is building on top of that. So make sure to watch that as well. So let's first get started. We can just grab the command itself, or we can also run it ourselves. Now, the room tells us that the machine blocks ping by default. However, we can test that for ourselves by doing the ping command with the IP address. And we can see that it doesn't actually block the ping probing. However, if we were to do an nmap without the -pn flag, we would see that it actually does block it. So as you can see, the O seems down. So we need to actually provide the no ping option, so to remove OS discovery in nmap. So let's go. All right, so for the first question, we need to answer how many TCP ports are open. Now it's quite easy. We can simply count them, and we see that there's actually 7 ports that are open. So let's take a look at the ports and not just do the questions. So we see that there's SSH that's open, and SSH is basically secure shell connection, and that's the equivalent of RDP. There's RPC bind, MSRPC, NetBIOS, SSN, there's SMB. So 445 and 139 are basically linked together to form Samba. And what is most important to us is going to be NFS. There's also RDP open, but that's not relevant for us. Actually, everything is not relevant for us except for the 2049, which is NFS, or Network File System. So what is Network File System? Well, NFS is a protocol that allows the ability to transfer files between different computers. What does this all mean? Well, let's say that you are inside an internal network, right? And that network has offices in different places around the world. Well, you could use NFS to actually transfer files between PCs securely or not securely, as we'll see. And it's basically just an easy way to share files. And I have actually made a box. It's not published anywhere, but I've made a box around NFS. So you basically need to look at what is available in the share and then exploit it in order to get a shell on the target machine. If you would like to see that box in action, let me know in the comments below and I'll make sure to make a video about it. So, what is the question? Well, we see that we need to give the port that detected by Nmap as NFS, and that port is 2049, as we just saw. What can we do with NFS? Well, with NFS, we can actually use the command showmount and see what folders are being shared by this NFS share. So simple as that, we see that there's actually 4 shares that are being shared by NFS. There's the share, admin files, my notes, and confidential. Now, there's a couple of them that have nice names, so let's dive deeper into it. So how many shares did we find? We found 4 shares. And how many shares show everyone? Well, there's actually 3. So what can we do now? Well, what we can do is we could make a temporary directory and go into it. And now we could, to make our life easier, we could actually create a folder for every share and then try to mount that share into our local folder. So we're basically grabbing the remote share and linking it to something that's local on our machine. And whatever we do inside that share will actually be displayed as well in the remote share. So be careful about that. So let's create a couple of directories, right? So let's do make dir share admin files, my notes, and confidential. Now you'll see that we have the 4 shares that have the same names as these one. Now to mount them, we actually need sudo privileges. And we need to do sudo mount, provide the IP address with a colon, and then specify the share you want. So in our case, let's do share first and then put it into share. So the basic syntax is sudo mount, IP address, colon, the remote share you want, so the name of the remote share and then the name of the local share where you want to link it. Press enter. And now we see that there was no error being done. And if we look inside our share folder, we actually see there's stuff in there. So let's try to do this with everything. So let's do next admin files into admin files. And we actually see that we have access denied. So some shares have authentication or authorization that you need to have before you can mount them. So that's where the secure part happens. But if this secure part is not being done properly, that's when the danger comes. Now we can do my notes into my notes. Same thing. And finally, confidential, which has the most epic name. And as we can see, this one also doesn't have any error. So let's remove the directories we don't need, which in our case is going to be admin files and my notes. All right, so we see that we have actually 2 shares that we found. So let's answer a couple of questions. So what is the title of file 2680-0.txt? That's inside the share folder. So let's just go over there. And do it. Now, if we were to simply do cat 2680, it would actually be spammed, right? So where are the titles usually? Usually the titles are on the top of the file. So what we can do is either we can open it in a text editor and we would get the answer, or we can actually be fancier and use head, which will by default, I believe, display the top 10 lines. And in our case, we see that the title is Meditations. So it seems that Greenwich Enterprise has forgotten their SSH keys on our system. That's very good. We like having SSH keys. So let's look into confidential. And we can see that there's actually a folder called SSH. So let's go into there. And we see that there's IDRSA and IDRSA.pub. If you don't know about IDRSA, I invite you to look into SSH authentication techniques. And basically, IDRSA and IDRSA pubs are a combo of public and private keys that will allow you to connect remotely to SSH without providing a password. But you can also put the passwords on the private key, of course. So one of the shares contain the private key used for SSH. What is the name of the share? It's confidential. Finally, we can calculate the MD5 sum of a file using MD5 sum. So what is the MD5 sum of IDRSA? Well, easy. We can do MD5 sum IDRSA. Grab the first part and enter it. And just like that, guys, we have completed day 12 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe. Thank you guys so much for watching this day 12 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe. Today's challenge was a bit faster than the other ones, but it was a walkthrough challenge. So as always, if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to support me, the links are in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you tomorrow for day 13 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe.